A life-size replica of Noah's Ark is now open in Grant County. We'll hear from protesters and visitors coming up.
They say it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. We're just about a month out from the anniversary of Flight 5191, why the Campbell House wants people to donate blood.
We have a flash flood watch in effect until 9 p.m. for down toward the Cumberland region, parts of that is, and that's already a saturated area. Could be seeing more counties included into this, and I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to go over when these storms actually arrive coming up.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. The heavy rain has moved out of the bluegrass for the time being, but things will start ramping back up during the evening and overnight hours.
Going to have to watch that. Some of those could be strong to severe, lots of rain. That's why we have called a First Alert Severe Weather Day ahead of the threat. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is tracking the storms on our First Alert Defender network.
Yeah, we still have those showers down toward the southeast. Now, those are still trying to move on out, but most of us, virtually all of us, are staying dry as of right now. And really the next few hours, I don't see much in the way of actually causing any problems. However, look back toward the west, look towards St. Louis, southern portions of Illinois, eastern portions of Missouri. Here comes that line of showers and thunderstorms. The good news here is that when you start to see, you see how colorful it is with the bright reds and the bright oranges and yellows right through here. And then all of a sudden you see bits and pieces of green mixed in. That's actually it kind of falling apart. But that doesn't mean it's going to fall apart before it gets here. It just means it's still losing a bit of energy because the main piece of energy is still well back toward the north and the west. Hopefully that continues to be the trend. We'll see. But the actual momentum is carrying it right into an area close to 9 inches of rain the past 24 hours in western Kentucky, Bowling Green close to 5, and us here in the southwestern portion of our viewing area, right around 5 inches of rain. That's where we have that flood watch. I'm going to go over that. I'm going to show you when these storms move on in, coming up in a few minutes.
And we'll see you then. Thank you.
Well, after years of anticipation and construction, the Ark Encounter is now officially open in northern Kentucky.
The park in Williamstown features a life-size replica of Noah's Ark, and it's expected to bring at least a couple of millions of visitors in each year. WKYT's Mark Barber is live in Grant County with reaction from supporters and critics. And that is our top story at noon. Mark?
Afternoon, Bill. Visitors aren't just filing in 2 by 2. They are flooding in by the thousands to see this massive ark that is 7 stories tall and nearly 2 football fields long. It is a life-size replica of Noah's Ark built following the same measurements in Genesis 6. The religious theme park is expected to drop to 2 million visitors in its first year. Crowds started lining up early this morning to weave their way through the gargantuan attraction that was built to teach a biblical worldview. The Ark is also drawing in protesters who are lining the exit ramp on I-75. The critics do not think the $100 million religious theme park should be receiving $18 million in tax breaks because they say it celebrates fiction, not fact. Others, however, disagree.
I would encourage them to come and see for themselves because there's 125,000 square feet of exhibits on 3 decks. And the top deck is teaching exhibits. And it does outline, it's not just faith, there is facts based on scientific evidence.
This park tells people that evolution is not true. Science isn't true. The Earth is only 6,000 years old. This is ridiculous. They're raising a bunch of scientifically illiterate children, and this is a dangerous concept.
But a concept all the same that is drawing in people from all over the country and even all over the world to see this massive ark in a small Kentucky town. Just a couple minutes ago, we spoke with a boy who said his family made a 3-day trip from Canada to be here today. Live in Williamstown, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you very much. And getting to today's opening day did not come without a legal fight over taxes. In January, a federal judge sided with the creators of the Ark Encounter after the state tried to exclude them from tourism tax incentives. Those are the same types of incentives that places like Kentucky Kingdom and the visitor centers at bourbon distilleries receive here in the Commonwealth. They and now the Ark Encounter get a rebate of part of the sales tax they generate for the state.
A northern Kentucky couple is missing, and state police need your help finding them. 38-year-old Robert Jones and 35-year-old Crystal Warner were last seen in Washington County Sunday night. WKYT's Rebecca Smith is at the live desk now with the latest on the investigation. Rebecca, what do we know?
Barbara, this is an investigation that stretches the entire state, and right now investigators are focusing right here in central Kentucky. Family members tell us the last time they saw Robert Jones and Crystal Warner was Sunday. We're told the couple had been visiting his mother in Letcher County. They were traveling back to their home in Florence, but on the trip back stopped in Washington County to check on a rental property. A family member tells us the renter was the last person to see them. That was around 7 o'clock Sunday night. State police say they did track usage on his cell phone around 10 Sunday night along I-64 near Frankfort. No one has seen or heard from them since. The couple last seen driving a 2012 Volkswagen Passat with the license plate of 9485FS. Here is a picture again of these two. Robert Jones, 38 years old. He's 6'1", about 200 pounds, and has brown hair and blue eyes. Warner is 35. She's 5'2", weighs about 130 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. And if you have any information on this missing couple, you're asked to contact state police. At the live desk, Rebecca Smith, WKYT.
Rebecca, thank you. And friends and family tell us they've searched along I-64 near Frankfort and plan to search the area around the rental home in Washington County as well.
It has been nearly 10 years since the deadly crash of Comair Flight 5191 at Bluegrass Airport. To mark the anniversary, the Campbell House in Lexington is holding a blood drive tomorrow, just as it did to help the victims' families a decade ago. WKYT's Caitlin Sentner has a preview of that. Caitlin?
They say it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. We're just about a month out from the anniversary of Flight 5191.
But nothing ever really prepares you for the magnitude of what happened with Flight 5191.
He says it's a vivid memory. Jerry Vandermeer was the general manager at the Campbell House when Comair Flight 5191 crashed near the Bluegrass Airport. He remembers people calling the hotel, crying, asking what they could do to help. A decade ago, the hotel housed victims' families and had a blood drive.
When we got the call and understood that they were looking for rooms to accommodate the families of those who had lost loved ones in the flight, we immediately knew we had to respond as a facility, not so much for customer service, but humanitarian service.
The blood drive is Friday here at the Campbell House in Lexington. Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
And the blood drive is from 8:30 until 4:30 in the Mason Headley Ballroom. You can schedule an appointment through the Red Cross, or walk-ins are also welcome. Many residents in Boyle County have been getting notices on their water bills saying that their water system violated a drinking water standard. The Danville Water District, which supplies water to several other towns as well, is in the process of building a new water plant. During construction, the city engineer says the level of a disinfectant byproduct got too high. The notice the customers received warned that the elderly, pregnant women, and people with infants should talk with a doctor.
To see that something like that on the back of a bill can be startling for people.
Correct. And most folks don't really understand the dynamics of the drinking water regulation and how that's changed.
Large amounts of the disinfectant byproduct could cause cancer with long-term exposure, and the state says Danville is far from the only public water system in violation. Our Miranda Combs investigates tonight. A report on WKYT News at 6. FBI Director James Comey is in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today to explain why he is not pursuing charges against Hillary Clinton over her email use while she was Secretary of State. We'll tell you what he had to say coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, lawyers for Bill Cosby will take another shot today at getting the sexual abuse case against the embattled comedian thrown out. The latest next on WKYT.
Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. FBI Director James Comey is on Capitol Hill today. He's answering questions about the Hillary Clinton email investigation.
He has recommended charges not be filed against the presumptive Democratic nominee. And now House Republicans want to know why. Craig Boswell has the latest from Washington.
Did Hillary Clinton lie?
House Republicans grilled FBI Director James Comey about his decision not to recommend charges against Hillary Clinton for using a private email server during her time as Secretary of State.
Did the FBI investigate her statements under oath on this topic?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think there's been a referral from Congress.
Do you need a referral from Congress to investigate her statements under oath?
Sure do.
You'll have one. You'll have one in the next few hours.
On Tuesday, Comey blasted Clinton and her aides for being careless, but did not recommend criminal charges. Yesterday, Attorney General Loretta Lynch accepted those recommendations and closed the case.
Lynch will face questions from the House Judiciary Committee next week. The investigation may be over, but the political fallout from many of those involved will continue.
Democrats called the hearing a political investigation and likened it to the recent probe into the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi.
I would not be surprised if tomorrow Republicans set up a new committee to spend $7 million plus on why the FBI failed to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
Comey repeated his statement that no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case against Clinton. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Speaker of the House Paul Ryan has now formally requested that the Director of National Intelligence refrain from providing intelligence to Hillary Clinton while she's a candidate for president.
One of Donald Trump's former presidential rivals won't be attending the Republican National Convention later this month. A spokesman for Florida Senator Marco Rubio says he will remain in the Sunshine State and campaign for his own re-election. Rubio recently announced plans to seek a second term in the Senate after previously saying he would not run. He frequently clashed with Trump during the primaries, but has reluctantly endorsed him for president. The University of Tennessee has agreed to settle a federal Title IX lawsuit alleging a hostile sexual environment within the school's athletic department. If it's approved by a judge, the school will have to pay out nearly $2.5 million to 8 women who claimed they were victims of sexual assault by athletes while they were students at the university. Their lawsuit also claims they suffered retaliation for reporting what had happened to them. UT says no taxpayer dollars, student fees, or donor funds will be used to pay out the settlement. Well, it could be a key day in court for embattled comedian Bill Cosby. He's trying to fight off criminal charges in a sexual abuse case.
Cosby's lawyers are expected to ask the judge either to throw out the case or to force his accuser to testify before trial. Former Temple University employee Andrea Constadt did not testify at the hearing when a judge found there was enough evidence to move forward with the case. Cosby is charged with felony sexual assault for allegedly drugging and molesting Constadt in 2004. Cosby says the encounter was consensual. Some of the biggest names in music are joining hands and voices to honor victims and families of the Orlando shooting massacre. Jennifer Lopez, Britney Spears, Gwen Stefani, Mary J. Blige, and Selena Gomez are among the 24 stars featured on the tribute song Hands. 49 people were killed and 53 injured in the mass shooting at Pulse nightclub. Proceeds from sales of the song will benefit the Victims Fund as well as LGBT organizations. Hands is available on iTunes now.
I'm Phil Pendleton in Boyle County at 12:30. Another person in a high-profile pizza store robbery owns up to the crime.
It's another day where we get breaks in the action here and there, and then we wait until deep into the afternoon, off into the evening hours to get more storms rolling on through. I'm meteorologist Micah Harris getting you updated on what's going on right now. Still a couple of light showers. Back toward eastern Kentucky, that's not what we're worried about. This is what we're worried about. Here comes another shot, and not just strong, potentially a few isolated severe thunderstorms, but also the possibility for flash flooding. That is my main concern for our region and also for western Kentucky. Western Kentucky got a pounding late last night into early this morning, 5 to even close to 9 inches of rain over in western Kentucky. So now we're going to add even more rain to that. It's not going to be good for them. And remember this, as this passes on through, you can see we have several hours left before it actually arrives. But as it passes on through, it does not need to be a severe thunderstorm to cause damage, cause wind damage, trees toppled over, things going down that don't usually happen at 40, 50 miles per hour. You can get a regular thunderstorm and still get trees toppled over because that ground is so saturated. As of right now, flash flood watch is in effect for our southwestern portions because of that. And in this area, we've actually picked up anywhere from 2 to even 5 inches of rain in the past 24 hours. and we have another batch heading that way. I do expect a few more counties to be included in this, so we'll see as we go throughout the afternoon to see exactly where these storms are headed to really actually pinpoint what locations we need to include. And it's not from us. Remember, this is from the National Weather Service, these counties that are actually included in flash flood watch. That goes until 9 p.m. Let's go through it. Let me show you when you can expect these storms as they arrive around 6 or 7 p.m. toward the far western zones. This is from this particular model that's actually doing a pretty good job on handling this right now. And let me tell you, they have not been doing very well on handling any of these storm complexes the past several days. But as of right now, 6 to 7 p.m. in the west, it slides down into the Cumberland region. There's 7 p.m. Let's go to 8 and 9 p.m. right across 75, anywhere from 7 to 9 p.m. And then it makes its way through, and you can see back toward Lexington, we actually get some rumbles of thunder as we go into the night. So guys, we're just really going to be focusing in on the late afternoon, evening time to see these storms come on in, and watch out for some possible damaging winds and flash flooding as we go throughout the night.
Okay, then we get to the weekend. It
Weekend
looks better.
looks much better.
Okay, thank you, Micah. We're coming back on WKYT, and a former Cat looks to his stride in the NBA.
And another huge change of address in the league. Dave Baker's next with sports.
Rajon Rondo is a guy that can penetrate and get the ball to spot up shooters maybe better than anybody in the NBA. That's why the Chicago Bulls wanted him so badly. But now he'll not only have Jimmy Butler to get it to, but Dwayne Wade as well, who last night said he was leaving Miami and coming home to Chicago. Wade has agreed to a 2-year deal worth $47 million to join the Bulls, according to the Associated Press. The Miami Heat, Wade's team for his entire 13-year career, had offered a 2-year, $40 million contract. He was a guest host on Live with Kelly today. Wade told Kelly Ripa that he couldn't sleep or eat until his decision was made to leave Miami. Quote, I probably lost 5 to 10 pounds just not being able to eat, Wade said. The negotiations between Wade and the Heat, they got more and more contentious over the last week, and the richest offer that had been made for Wade was from the Denver Nuggets, who offered him $52 million over 2 years. Wade met with the Nuggets on Wednesday. He had told friends that if he ever left Miami, where he's won 3 titles, it would be to play for his hometown Bulls, sources said. Of course, plenty of Wildcats are trying to find their way in the NBA Summer League. James Young has had the hot hand for the Boston Celtics. Tuesday night, he hit 4 of 5 three-pointers as the Celtics beat Utah. Young knocking down this clutch shot out of the corner to seal the win. The kind of big play he hopes to show more of in his 3rd NBA season.
It's hard work. I've been putting a lot of work in, so it's just starting to show off. And I'm just going to keep working until I'm where I need to be.
And up in Sparta, all kinds of activity for NASCAR's return to Kentucky Speedway, including tonight's Camping World Truck Series. And many will be watching Louisville native Ben Rhodes, who will be behind the wheel of the number 41 Toyota Tundra. Rhodes graduated from Holy Cross High in 2015, so at 19, Rhodes is one of the youngest drivers in NASCAR.
To be able to share it with my friends and family, this is really my only track that I get to share this with them and what I do and what I want to do with my life. So when they can come out here and kind of experience with me, that's a special feeling. But if we could get the win, Kentucky Speedway better be ready, because they need to try to hold the fence back, because I'm sure they're going to try to rush it. I used to drive past this track when I was younger going to go-kart races, and it was just my dream to always race here, to race in NASCAR. I never thought I'd be here. It's what dreams are made of.
Probably the only guy in the circuit that still gets carded. Tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, UK linebacker Courtney Love, and former Wildcat Louisville native Jeff Van Note, an 18-year veteran of the NFL. That's at 6 on 630 WLAP. Guys, much more throughout the day from up at Kentucky Speedway. But for now, that's a look at sports on your Thursday.
It'd be cool to see a Kentucky native do well. Used to be the Owensboro connection with all the drivers out there. Yeah, you got it.
You're right.
Keep it here now on WKYT News for the next half hour of the latest.
The family of a black man shot to death by a Minnesota police officer is speaking out.
Coming up at 12:30, we'll take you to Grant County to see a replica of Noah's Ark that thousands of visitors are flooding in to see.
Tomorrow night's Mega Millions jackpot is $508 million, and Saturday night's Powerball jackpot is now $288 million.